Unlike others like Goku who have spent their youth learning techniques from old masters, Vegeta had to make up his own abilities, something he's done quite well at over the course of the series. In fact, despite his loyal lineage, Vegeta's journey was defined by his relentless pursuit of strength and unyielding tenacity. He worked incredibly hard through his journey as a Saiyan warrior. His unwavering quest for power and his resolve to surpass Goku allowed him to constantly learn new techniques and attacks that became a staple in the show. In this video series, I'll pick a character like Vegeta and mention his attacks and rank them from weakest to strongest. So if you would like this video, please make sure you help this video through the algorithm and give it a like. But before I start, we must mention that this video list will be a little subjective. As we know, moves are usually as strong as the user is. For example, a Galick gun attack by Vegeta during the Saiyan Saga is a lot weaker than just a simple regular ki blast from the Buu Saga. Therefore, these rankings will be based on how effective, cool, and powerful they are in respect to Vegeta's move pool. So without further ado, let's get right to it. A bit of a disclaimer here. I realize some attack names are called differently depending on which game you play and what dub you have watched. So aside from the staple moves in the show such as the Kamehameha or Final Flash, you will have to expect that some attack names on this list might be called differently from how you experience it throughout watching the series, depending on which dub or more prominently, what game you have played. For example, the worst move in Vegeta's arsenal is his super consecutive energy ki blast, otherwise known as Meter Flash or Lokora Gun, among many other names. Vegeta used this move so many times it's probably the most technique he has used in the series. In fact, Vegeta used this energy bullet technique many times to the point where Goku himself refers to the continuous energy bullet as one of Vegeta's techniques, despite it being somewhat generic in terms of how it's utilized. This move honestly mirrors Vegeta's personality and philosophy during his fights. He seems to use this technique whenever he feels like he's losing control over the battle, and lets his rage take over as he fires an exorbitant amount of ki blasts rapidly in order to ensure his opponent is taken down. Spoilers alert, it doesn't do shit. However, it can't be denied that firing multiple ki blasts is part of Vegeta's fighting style, and we have seen some really powerful moments in the franchise where Vegeta uses this technique. Most notably, his fit of rage against Cell, where he succumbs to great anger after not only Cell tricking him in battle and mocking his Saiyan ancestry, but crossing the line when he messes with the one thing that Vegeta won't allow you to mess with: his family. That was a monumental moment in regard to Vegeta's character development, which has shown a lot of growth despite the outcome of his attacks ultimately resulting in making the situation a lot worse, with Gohan sacrificing one of his arms in order to save him. Nonetheless, Vegeta firing a barrage of ki blasts is classic vintage Vegeta during DBZ. In fact, firing ki blasts has been prevalent and synonymous with Vegeta's fighting style that I remember when Budokai Tenkaichi came out in his character bio. It mentions that Vegeta is so fast at shooting ki blasts rapidly, being one of the fastest in the game. However, this technique deals zero damage and is pretty much useless. Well, unless his opponent is a lot weaker than Vegeta. But even though, it's a waste of energy. During the Saiyan Saga, Vegeta uses this technique to destroy Nappa after Goku walks over him. Literally, Goku demonstrates the Kaioken to subdue and break Nappa's spine. Vegeta, being Vegeta, deceives Nappa into thinking that he was going to help him, but then tosses him high into the air as he generates electricity around his chest and then converts it into an aura around his body. Then he proceeds to thrust his chest forward and fires a huge energy wave at Nappa, causing his body to disintegrate in mid-air. Now, the reason why this move is so low on this list is due to it being one of the least frequent techniques used by Vegeta, despite it being one of the best looking. Also, the time it takes to charge, as well as Vegeta holding both his arms, creates a clear window of opportunity to be counter-attacked, making this move very useless unless your opponent is crippled like Nappa. Though I'd still put this move above Meter Flash because Vegeta at least inflicted damage using this technique. The explosive wave is honestly an iconic technique if you are a Budokai Tenkaichi player. Many characters utilize this technique for its range and effectiveness. Vegeta used this technique for the first time as a kid when he was training against the Cybermen. He uses his own aura to burst out of his body at once in order to repel his opponents. Though it seems to burn significantly more ki the stronger the attack is and the more range and power Vegeta puts into. We have seen Vegeta using this technique again during the Saiyan Saga in order to destroy the area around him. The explosive is basically a much weaker and safer version than the final explosion, which consumes your own life essence and turning your own life force into a bomb. This technique is pretty cool, but not an original technique as we saw many characters using it before.
Oh no! The kid's a monkey! Destructo this!
Yes, Vegeta has indeed copied Krillin's attack, or rather he was already aware of this attack as he calls out to Nappa to dodge it when Krillin launched it on screen for the first time. So it can be argued that either Vegeta is a genius who managed to instantly copy the attack, which isn't a surprise, or that he was actually aware of it as he developed it once before. Whether it's the former or the latter, you can tell me in the comments down below.
Goodbye! I'm afraid you're fired.
This is potentially and possibly the first real signature move of Vegeta on this list, and it's personally one of my favorites too. Not only is it strong, but has a great track record of finishing off enemies, most notably when he used this technique to finish off Qui on planet Namek. This move encompasses Vegeta's brutal nature at that part of the series. He is merciless and will kill his opponent in brutal ways as he humiliates Qui when he reveals his power level far exceeds the 18,000 that Qui was anticipating. Fearful of his life, Qui runs away, then Vegeta aims at his opponent with his outstretched index and middle fingers together, detonating Qui at impact. This isn't the first time we have seen this attack. In fact, it was demonstrated during the Saiyan Saga when Vegeta used this attack to kill a Cyberman for holding back during his battle against Tien Shinhan. Even Nappa notes on how cruel Vegeta was. This attack symbolizes Vegeta's characters at that time and deserves this spot on this list. It could be even higher in my own opinion had the other moves weren't so iconic. Unlike most of the attacks mentioned until now, Gamma Burst is one of those Vegeta attacks that were dubbed by the Saiyan Prince himself, and is also only introduced in the manga so far as of me making this video. This move is similar to the Final Flash as Vegeta's hands are posed in an inverted position, drawing a lot of ki resulting into a devastating beam capable of greatly damaging even those who are stronger than Vegeta himself. In this case, Vegeta uses this attack against merged Zamasu. This attack was strong enough to destroy Zamasu's body. However, he managed to regenerate and multiply into more Zamasus. Though it is noted by future Trunks that this technique is extremely detrimental to Vegeta and that it was not a good idea for him to use it while already battle damaged, due to the massive amount of ki released. The very fact that it could cause merged Zamasu damage makes this technique one of Vegeta's strongest attacks. Possibly the strongest attack on this list had it not been some of the more iconic moves on this list. I personally love this move so much as it's one of my favorite Vegeta attacks. It's basically a stronger variation of Dirty Fireworks. In some games, this move is called Final Impact. In other games, it's Atomic Burst or Atomic Blast. This move is characterized by Vegeta raising his index, middle finger, and thumb forward in order to fire a powerful bolt of energy at the opponent, piercing through them and inflicting a large amount of damage. We have seen Vegeta utilizing this attack in his Majin form. His pose towards Majin Buu and how Vegeta was drawn in that scene makes this attack for me one of the most badass. Adding to the fact of how the attack was so fast that Buu didn't even realize he turned into a donut. I also like how this move was first introduced in the Budokai game series. It uses half of your ki bar to use this attack, despite it being one of the attacks that actually burns a lot of ki to use. While not exactly the same, there's another variation of this attack which Vegeta used in the 6th movie installment of Return of Cooler, where Vegeta uses a similar technique when finishing off one of the Meta Coolers.
Have
to admire your ability to stand up after that.
And I admire your ability to die! Final Shine Attack!
Final Shine Attack is Vegeta's ultimate finishing move in the GT timeline. It is an absolutely powerful move that serves to act as a stronger version of Vegeta's Final Flash. However, what's interesting about this move is that Vegeta was shown to use it for the first time on screen by using one hand, but was able to perform a stronger variation of the attack in Super Saiyan 4, where he uses both hands similarly to the Final Flash and also the Final Impact, where Vegeta used that against Raccoon. In complete irony though, none of those moves actually destroyed an opponent. However, one cannot deny how absolutely badass these moves look, and is basically Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta's signature move. Just like how Goku can utilize a stronger variation of the red Kamehameha, which is the ×10, Vegeta seems to have a stronger version of the Final Flash, which is the Final Shine Attack. This move is also one of my favorite because of how ridiculously powerful in Budokai 3 it is, where it can basically take almost an entire health bar with just the usage of one key bar. This move would have been much higher had it at least defeated one opponent. The naming convention of this move alone makes it go really hard. God Heat Flash is a move dubbed by the amazing game Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, in which it features Vegeta using what is essentially a stronger version of the Big Bang attack, or what people figurize to be. Vegeta extends his arm, opens his hand, and charges Ki in the palm of his hand. However, it must be noted that Vegeta fires his attack in a beam-like state, instead of the classic spherical shape that the Big Bang attack sometimes appeared to be. He has performed this technique for the first time in the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, in which he defeats base Broly before powering up to his Wrath state. This move could very well be the strongest Vegeta move and can be argued to be his best. However, since this move has never defeated an opponent and we have never seen it used that often, if at all, therefore I feel like this move deserves this spot on this list. But if you disagree, I would understand since this move seems to be only accessed in Vegeta's God mode. Force Spirit Fission is one of those attacks that makes it this high on this list simply because of how unique it is, and how it actually took Vegeta an actual training arc to obtain this technique. Unlike all the other damage-inducing techniques you have seen on this list, this technique relies on the power to separate, manipulate, and diffuse energy that was stolen or gained from another person. Vegeta demonstrated this technique against Moro, where he separates the power that Moro is able to absorb from his enemies, giving the power stolen back to their rightful owners. This attack serves as a reflection of Vegeta's atonement to his early sins during the Namek Saga, while also being the antithesis of Goku's signature move, the Spirit Bomb. While Goku can gather energy from around the universe, Vegeta is able to break down and return that power. He can also diffuse characters that uses fusion or absorption with this technique, being one of Vegeta's cooler moves in Dragon Ball Super.
Bulma, I do this for you. And yes, even for you, Kakarot.
Okay, I'll admit, this is by far the most biased pick on this list. This move, while the most damaging as the user of this move turns his own life energy into a bomb, the outcome of using it will basically turn your body into dust. Literally. This would have been technically one of the worst if it weren't for Dragon Ball Super. However, it is ranked highly for the sole fact of what it signifies. While the Final Explosion is the actual name, Final Atonement feels like a more representative name to what the move meant when Vegeta used it. Vegeta was atoning to his sin and using his trump card to actually, for once in his life, fight for someone other than himself. He did it not only for Bulma, not only for his son, but for his greatest rival, Kakarot. the sheer impact of that moment blows mostly every other attack we have seen Vegeta use out of the water. Some would say, myself included, that this is peak Vegeta and we never saw anything close to this in terms of his overall character, demeanor shift, and development. And like I said earlier, while Vegeta learned to control this move in Dragon Ball Super and prevented himself from dying due to his significant improvement of ki control, I think that devalues its meaning. So while it's the most damage dealing move, it leaves Vegeta almost completely defenseless and depleted. Therefore, you can definitely argue that I'm blinded by my own bias for picking this move so highly. But please let me know if you disagree in the comments down below.
Kakarot! Dodge this next attack if you can! But know that if you do, your precious little planet will be gone! This is yours, Kakarot! But either way, you are going to perish!
Back in the early days when I first started this channel, I made a video called Top 10 Signature Attacks in Dragon Ball, where I subjectively picked the 10 best moves in the show and ranked them from least significant to most significant. In that video, I made the huge error of not including Vegeta's first ever major finishing attack, that is the Galick gun, which is a catalyst to one of Dragon Ball's most iconic scenes of the Kamehameha Galick gun beam clash. So I'm rectifying my mistake and giving Galick gun the respect it deserves. I personally neglected to pick that attack because I felt it was overrated in terms of how it became irrelevant, and it hasn't had any actual impact in this series besides the first time we have seen it. And it doesn't even reflect on Vegeta's personality in any way. It never displayed or highlighted growth or anything. However, if you're someone who plays the video games extensively, Galick Gun is Vegeta's #1 base move. It's featured in all of the games and is often seen as Vegeta's own version of the Kamehameha. So in spite of this move not finishing off many opponents, or have seen it on screen that much, I think when it comes to Vegeta, it will be absolute criminal of me to not include it highly, especially when this move also had its share of varieties, such as the Super Galick Gun and Father-Son Galick Gun. It also must be noted that this move is significantly stronger than what the video games might lead you to believe, because Vegeta had the power level of 18,000 in the Saiyan Saga, and claimed to be able to destroy the Earth with this attack. Moreover, it took Goku using the Kaioken ×4 to beat the Galick gun, meaning a Kaioken ×3 was not enough. Goku's base level of power in the Saiyan Saga was over 8,000, so that power multiplied by 3 would be over 24k, and that wasn't enough to beat Vegeta's Galick gun, suggesting that this move is similar to the Special Beam Cannon in the fact that it exceeds the user's base power depending on how long you charge it.
Your eyes on Super Vegeta's Big Bang Attack!
After Vegeta finds the resolve to surpass his limits and achieve the legendary status of Super Saiyan for the first time, he accompanies that milestone by developing an attack equal to that success. When fighting Android 19 and overpowering him with his sheer strength and aura, Vegeta invokes fear into a soulless machine, causing the killing machine to run away from battle, cause Vegeta's just him. Vegeta extends his arm, opens his palm, and turns his hand upright. He then condenses his ki in his palm and launches a ki blast that proceeds to detonate in a massive explosion. Now, the weird thing with this move is that it's a little inconsistent on how sometimes it's portrayed as a beam shooting from Vegeta's hands, and in other instances it's portrayed as a spherical attack. However, in the games, it's pretty consistent with being shown as a spherical shaped ki blast. Vegito and Semi-Perfect Cell were shown to use a beam-like version of this attack. Also, if memory serves right, in the game Legacy of Goku 2, Vegeta's Big Bang attack is charged and shot as a spherical attack, whereas in the sequel game Boo's Fury, it looks like a beam. So either the move has two different variations, or they're entirely two different attacks. One of my favorite moments in regards to the Big Bang attack is a very underrated moment where Vegeta gets over his pride and assisted Gohan by shooting Cell in the back with his Big Bang attack, giving Gohan the opening he needs to finish off Cell. Honestly, you can really say that this move is high on this list for how it's usually portrayed as one of Vegeta's top 2 finishing moves, and also how it reflects the time period of where he made his ancestors proud by unlocking the legendary transformation of the Saiyan race.
Father! Final Flash! What's this?
When it comes to iconic moves in the Dragon Ball franchise, very few eclipses Vegeta's Final Flash. This move is synonymous with one of Vegeta's highlight of the entire show. While this attack isn't necessarily the strongest, I feel like I keep saying that a lot. In terms of being the most damaging or being an attack that defeated an opponent, it deserves a top spot because of how it left a lasting impression unlike any other move. From a narrative and writing perspective, the true impact of this move was Vegeta charging this attack against Cell, challenging and boasting that if Cell really wanted to test his new perfect body, then he should stand right where he is and try to tank this attack. Cell's confident demeanor quickly shifting from being scared shitless after Vegeta verbalizes the name of this move, causing the attack that was a threat to destroy the whole planet to go through Cell and out of space, destroying a very far away planet in mere seconds. My heart goes to all the poor civilians who probably may have got killed by Vegeta's attack and had no idea why. So if you want to talk about greatness, imagine an attack that not only didn't work or defeat Cell, but still managed to be a top moment in the entire franchise. Of course, this has to do with the execution of the entire scene. In return, the Final Flash attack is considered to be an ultimate finishing move in almost every Dragon Ball video game. While in the early Budokai games, this attack was his second strongest attack behind the Big Bang attack, the later games changed that, as it makes more sense narratively that the Final Flash is stronger than the Big Bang attack due to the amount of ki Vegeta puts in his attack. He also charges this move with both his hands as opposed to one hand. But like I said earlier on this video, attacks are typically as strong as the user is. Something that I personally like about Vegeta, and this is not a knock on Goku or anything because I think Goku's attacks are some of the best, but unlike him, Vegeta developed all of his techniques by himself. They are unique and reflect Vegeta in some way, shape, or form. Attacks that are iconic. Just hearing the name of those attacks takes you back to an unforgettable moment of the show. Vegeta is known to be one of the main characters of the series, and these attacks were detrimental in showcasing his changes and development. Now, I know I may have forgot about a move or two, given how there are so many video games in Dragon Ball and attacks are called different in each one based on the development team or studio that worked on said games. But like I said earlier, the ranking is based on a subjective point of view that I hope may have convinced you. If you like these types of videos, then please let me know by leaving a like. And if you want to see a ranking list of another character's attack or technique, then please use the comments section down below to facilitate that. But other than that, it's been your host MoodZi, so please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.